Hello, everyone. How are we doing?
Hello.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the best Wednesday Women's Crush show there is. It's the ATeam. I'm your host, Amber. Over here is Amanda. And of course, we always have RC. How are y'all doing tonight?
Great. How are you?
I missed you guys.
Oh.
Last week,
love
I got stuck with the drama queen Spurge.
Yeah, you did. Sorry about
But it
that.
was a great
No way.
interview. It was a great
It was a lot of
interview
fun.
with Ty. Yeah.
It was
I
great.
enjoyed it. Speaking of fun, I hear we got a
Yes.
pretty fun and awesome guest. What's going on, Amanda?
We do. So tonight, everyone, this is a very, very, very exciting night because we have the 5-time, and I will be apologizing to her on behalf of our esteemed person that runs this whole thing for putting 4-time. But yes, this is a 5-time STL Slam women's coach. Davis is coming on to talk to us. So without further ado, here she is.
Hey,
There
ladies,
she
how are you
is.
doing tonight?
Hey,
Good to see
how
you.
are you?
Great.
I'm good. Five.
Five.
Five. That's right. How
Right.
does it feel? Tell us how that feels.
Still kind of living in the moment, honestly. It's pretty fantastic. Really overjoyed for the players more than anything. They did the work. They earned it. We're just small parts in the wheel.
I hear
Well,
you.
you're a big part, in my opinion. It's pretty impressive, I must say. 5-time. And you actually played for the Slam too back in the day, right? Or played for the football team?
I did. I've been around since our inaugural season in 2003. I played for 15 seasons and then retired in 2017. And then went on to coach from there. Have coached ever since, and I'll probably die on the sideline.
Wow, that's really cool. RC, go ahead. You have a question?
So I know that you're champs for the 5 years. Have they been in a row, or were you a player with one of those, or every year that they won, were you like a coach? What position were you when they
So
won?
I've been a player for 3 of them. That was 2009, 16, and 17. And then a coach
Okay.
for 2, 2019, and this year in 2024.
Oh,
So
that's great.
I've got one
Congratulations.
more at least to earn as a coach, so I can kind of round out the numbers here, even it up.
Yeah, that's really cool. Amber, go ahead.
So then how many years have you been coaching versus playing?
So I started coaching in 2018. So 2018, 19, and then unfortunately 2020 COVID hit. So we sat out the 20 and 21 seasons, took the field again in 22, and have been back since. So I'm just a few years in right now, but hoping to carry on for a long, long time. Last inaugural member, and I was blessed enough to coach under Quincy Davis or play under Quincy Davis, and now coach under him as well. So I owe a lot of gratitude and respect to that guy. Taught me a lot along the way.
Nice.
So I have a question for you. So your mission is to empower women, youth, and families in our community through service, fitness, health, and education. You guys believe in transformative power of sports. Tell us how important that mission is to you.
Oh,
as a
it's
coach.
huge. I mean, it's absolutely huge as a coach and when I was a player. So, and it's not just for little girls. We're talking, little boys, adult women, anybody that wants to be a part of something like this, because it's great to grow on your own and be successful alone, but it's really something special to be part of a team and have to work as a unit, especially when, like us, when you're in a male-dominated field. Women's football was unheard of. Even when we began, nobody knew who we were. Here it is, 2024, 21 seasons later, and people are just now starting to hear our name more regularly and understand what we're about. So to be able to teach these kids growing up that this is normal and that it's that anything you put your mind to, you can do and you can achieve, that's huge. And that's part of the message we want to put out there.
Right, absolutely.
So, Coach, I have a question. So I know growing up, right, as all females, we had different sport role models, but we didn't have that many female role models. So who would be your female role model, maybe growing up or even now?
Oh my gosh. So female role models, there weren't a ton. You're right. There was, Jackie Joyner Kersey, FloJo, Bonnie Blair, some of those type of athletes. There really weren't a ton that were a big figure for us to follow. So, like a lot of little girls, I was big into NFL and I was an NFL fan, watched the games on the weekends with my dad with the thought of, oh my gosh, I can't wait till it's my turn to play. And he had to break that news to me that, hey, women's football isn't available. And he hoped it would be at some point. Little did I know that just years down the road that opportunity was going to come to St. Louis for me. So now more and more, you've got the Caitlin Clarks of the world. You've got Katie Sowers, who broke into the NFL early on and really helped blaze that trail for women's football. And more women are being recognized as having that ability and being just as intelligent and able as some of the guys to help us break into the sport. And who's better to teach a woman to play football than a woman who did it herself?
Exactly.
And the guys have a great perspective. They know all the X's and O's and have that football mentality and that intelligence. But to be able to insert yourself into a situation that you've actually been in, it's hard for a guy to describe what it's like for a woman with breasts to be in the pads and have to deal with some of those things that we go through. Football uniforms aren't designed for women. It's men's pants, it's men's jerseys, it's men's helmets, the whole deal. And right, exactly. And you're trying to get used to fitting into a mold that wasn't quite meant for you. It's challenging.
Yeah.
Thank you for
I get
that.
what you're talking about there, Coach. It's amazing that you say that because I actually was the only female in my high school team back in the 90s. Like, we had to sign waivers and everything. So having to deal with that uncomfortable shoulder pad kind of situation against the chest was definitely gruesome. But more importantly, it was we dealt with, you're breaking barriers here, and with that comes the unnecessary discrimination regarding sexism. And so
it's breaking those stereotypes of whether we should or shouldn't.
Yeah.
We want, and finding field availability is a big problem for us. Getting funding, being sponsored. When folks hear it's women's football, they're hesitant, and we're starting to see more positive feedback. But even trying to get a playing field, we've played on St. Mary's Field for several years now. They have been fantastic, willing to work with us. Other schools that we've reached out to really have shut the door a bit on us. And here we are, 5-time national champions, and they're afraid to let us on the field. Our league is opposite of the men's. So we play in spring instead of the fall. And that reason is because of field availability. When the guys are using it in the fall, we can't get access to those fields. So to be able to have a workout facility, a practice facility, a weight room, we do it in opposite seasons as the guys. That's how challenging it is. And the funding alone, these players pay upwards of $1,000 or more, depending on how far we make it into the playoff season. And that covers transportation, the travel, refs, the field, their equipment. They pay for their own food, hotel rooms, and they're handling their own insurance. So those are benefits that we don't have that male sports tend to get just because they're guys. So there's still a lot of room for women's sports to grow. And I have faith that it'll get there, but it's obviously not at the speed we'd like to see. Maybe you ladies can help, get that message out there and get us some funding, and St. Louis can jump on board and be generous, dig into their pockets and help us out, because we've got a lot more championships to win for St. Louis.
We would love to help you with that for sure. Absolutely. And we'll connect with how we can do that. I wanted to ask you, what would you say, as being a female player, your biggest obstacle physically with everything that would be? Because in my opinion, there's nothing a man can't do that a woman can't. You know what I mean? Like, we all can generally do the same things. So what would you say your hardest obstacle as playing would be?
So there's some, dynamics about the female body compared to the men. So our hips are wider, which leads to narrower knees. Tend to see more knee and ankle injuries because of the body shape. And frankly, we're not as fast as guys. Pound for pound, are we as strong? Yes. And I'm not saying we can go out and bench 400 pounds, but pound for pound, some of these women are just as strong as the guys. So that's the biggest obstacle physically that I was a part of and have seen is some of the injuries just based on body type, body shape, and not to be, get into a medical part of it, but when a woman is on her cycle, you lose elasticity in the ligaments. So ligaments do tend to tear a lot easier. There's been some studies done on ACL tears and that correlation to cycle timing. So that's something guys don't deal with. And just, playing when you're on your cycle, it's tough, it's challenging, but it's also a great outlet. And just for frustrations overall and the exercise of it. These women are consuming thousands of calories and burning them on the field. And it is just insane the amount of effort that is put in. It is hands down the hardest challenge I've had physically in my life playing football. And the gals that just went through the season, these teammates, we start in January. Some of them are doing off-season workouts all the way through the fall. We start mandatory practices in January preseason workouts, and we ran all the way into July. That is a very long time to beat your body up. And it's practice after practice. We go hard. We believe, Coach Quincy preaches iron sharpens iron. So if you're not going hard against one another and giving it your all, you're not improving the person across from you. So those physical challenges are a huge part of it. Once you start to play, you're never healthy. Okay, you're hurt all season long, not necessarily injured, but hurt. It's different when you get out of bed. It's different when you're moving around, walking around. You're practicing night after night. Get some downtime to watch film, but it's really a challenging beating that the body takes to play the sport. So you have to be incredibly dedicated, not to mention the time away from your loved ones and your family, and they're working full-time jobs while they're doing it. A lot of them are parents, they're moms to kids. They've got other family responsibilities. In every walk of life you can imagine is on our team. We've had doctors, lawyers, police officers, people in the military. Just about anything you can imagine has been a part of this team. So it's like having two jobs.
Nice. Well, I have a two-part question. I guess the first part is, what would you say is the average age of the player? And two is, how is the salary compared to the men playing football to the women playing football?
I'm so glad you asked that. Let's start with average age. We really range. We've had as young as 18 and into our 50s. So probably the mean age is probably 25 to 27 in that range. But if you're willing to give it an effort, we're willing to have you come out and give it a shot and try out for us. As far as salary, there is none. We're all volunteers. I don't make a dime.
What? Are you kidding me?
I wish I was. The players, like
I
said earlier,
I am shocked.
They pay to play. So they pay upwards of $1,000 or more a season, depending on how far we make it, to cover their expenses, their travel, their equipment, all the things. So we are a unpaid voluntary position, every single one of us.
Wow.
Well, you need to help y'all out big time.
We know, you know what? I think that the next time we have an event so we do charitable events for the network. And I think that it would be awesome to do an event to raise money for the Slam team. I think that would be really cool to do.
That would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I say we go WNFL all the way and get all the teams involved, all the cities involved. How many teams do we have in this league, Coach?
I believe this past season we've had upwards of 60. I think we're right around there now. It is divisioned out. So there's Division III, which is some of the younger teams with a little bit less experience or a lighter roster load. Division II, they're stepping up a little bit more experienced, bigger rosters, and then Pro Division that we were in this season and last season. So Pro Division is the top tier. Those are the kind of dog-eat-dog teams that are really out there to compete heavily. Not to say they all aren't. Every division is competing hard, working hard. It's just based on your roster size and the experience level that your team has.
So, Coach, correct me if I am wrong, but you guys were 9-0.
We were
last season.
Yes, that's correct. Undefeated.
How
do
you do that as a coach, right? So what is your motto to the players that you have them kind of work towards or work by?
Well, first of all, we don't do it as coaches. The players have to do it.
Right.
All we can do is provide the tools. And one of the big things for us is we don't allow anything self-deprecating. We call it the C word. The word can't is not allowed. Push-ups are required if somebody gets caught saying can't. And then the big thing is an average football play is 6 seconds at a time. So what can't you do for 6 seconds at a time? Nothing. So that word can't goes away. So it's what can you do for 6 seconds at a time? And when we put it in those terms, that it's just 6 seconds and you get to recover, suddenly those bites become smaller and every play becomes easier. So that's the big push for us, that and do what's best for the team. Any question that's asked, that's what we'll answer with. Do what's best for the team.
Yeah, that's great. RC, go ahead.
I know all of us sort of have our little mission that we give back to the community. I collect cans for the food bank here in San Antonio. I know Amber, she works on the military. She works with their wishes, and then Amanda, she works with the Speak for Autism. And you had mentioned in your mission that you give back to the community. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, what do you do?
Sure. A lot of the things we'll do are volunteer events. We go to schools. We will host football clinics for kids, coaching clinics. We'll do speaking engagements at schools, elementary schools, high schools. I believe there's one coming up soon where we're going to take the trophy around and let kids get to see and experience that. So any opportunity we have to be a part of the community, especially when it's empowering kids and teaching them how to be part of something like this and that they can, that's huge for us when we give back in that way.
That's amazing, Coach. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking back to the early 2000s. And when I saw women in football, they didn't have thigh pads or anything like that. It was the lingerie league, you know?
Right,
And
yes.
of course, we know the bikini models and all of that stuff kind of sells. But at the end of the day, this is like some serious hard hitting stuff. So do you think that any of the players from that lingerie league would be able to woman up, so to speak, against your team?
You know what? I do actually. And we actually had a player at one point that played for us that moved over to the lingerie league and then has come back since. And while, yes, sex sells, we all know that. And it's unfortunate that that's what it took to get some interest. But if you ever stop to watch one of those games, while I don't condone it and it's not my favorite part of it, there were some incredible athletes in the league.
They're tough.
And not in my opinion, not the best way to go about it, especially when you're really unprotected and it's a collision sport. But as far as athletically, some of those women did stand out and could transfer over. So one of the things I love so much about football, it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care what size you are, how fast you are, how strong you are, short, tall. There is an appropriate position for everyone. And we can teach you the sport, and we can teach you all the things you need to help you get in shape to prepare your body for that collision. So it's kind of a one size fits everybody sport, which is fantastic. So anybody out there listening that's interested in trying out, look us up, and tryouts are coming soon. We'll have some announcements on our Facebook page and on our website soon about tryouts, possibly as early as September.
Well, that's awesome. That's what I was going to ask you was, how does one apply, or how does one want to go to this? Is it a camp that you all have for tryouts, or?
Kind of, yes. We do a controlled tryout, and it's almost like a practice setting where we will, set aside a couple of hours. We have a lot of the veteran players come and participate. Coaches will run drills, and it's a fairly laid back atmosphere. What we're looking for is that drive and intensity to compete. We don't care if you've played football. We don't care if we get that not everybody's been out getting in shape for it. What we care about is, are you willing to put forth the effort that we are looking for to coach and teach you the sport? Be coachable. That's the basics, and have a good attitude.
So well, how do people see women's football doing a camp? Like, do they see that?
The tryouts are announced, but they're it's not a public tryout per se. Anybody can come, but we don't host it in a super public location where we announce it to the world.
Okay.
When folks reach out to us through our website or online, we give them a location and a time to show up, and we have family members and things like that come. But it's not it's not like we're at the Edward Jones Dome, or we're usually at a park or a field somewhere, one of the high school fields, holding that practice. If somebody's interested, they can go to slamfootball.com and reach out to us there, or through our Facebook page or our Instagram. Those are the best ways to get a hold of us.
That's great. Well, Coach, for the next couple of weeks, what we've been trying to do, or going to be doing, is that I became aware about 2 years ago that females who loved playing football in high school weren't able to carry that over to college scholarships. So they either had to change their sport, or just sometimes not go to college. And so with that awareness, we started with having a combine, inviting universities to come watch females try out for flag football. So now there's up to 12 universities that's offering flag football scholarships to females. And so what we're planning on doing is bringing awareness and bringing on those universities, bringing on some of those coaches, and talking about how flag football with females can continue their education and have just barely some of the same opportunities as the males in football. So can you tell us your opinion about that, about flag football and scholarships?
Yeah, actually, I think there's some great opportunities through women's flag football. I'm a huge proponent of anything that keeps somebody moving, keeps them athletic, and helps them afford that tuition and get an education. I'm all for. I do know a couple of the colleges that do have women's flag football in college right now, and for anybody that's looking to continue on after high school, that is a great option for them. And then my hope is that once they continue that, they get through flag football in college and they've made that their sport, they move on to a professional level like we are. And they find one of the teams in the WFA to come play for to finish out that career. So great opportunities. Glad you guys are a part of it.
Thank you.
Now, Coach, I know this is a long shot in the dark, but do you ever see football becoming integrated?
I can't imagine it would be, no, for a lot of good reason. I mean, let's be honest, a 350-pound male lineman versus a 200-pound, 230-pound female lineman is just not a equal matchup. And again, while pound for pound women can be strong, it's still not the same strength. So strength, speed, it's apples and oranges. It wouldn't work out, obviously. And then locker rooms would be challenging.
So I don't mean to switch it up on you, but I want to go to the championship real quick. Sure. Because at halftime, you guys were up 20-14 because you had an interception that you guys had caught just before going into half. What was that feeling like for you guys? What was the vibe in the locker room with you guys all talking at that point with where you were at with the score in the game?
Honestly, we were still fine. There was no panic. There was no urgency to change anything. We were sticking to our plan that we came into from the beginning. The players were very driven to win this game. Every single face in the room, they were not walking out of that stadium without those rings. So the commitment was there. We knew we had a plan in place. They were willing to execute it, and you saw what happened. They went out on the field and the defense was stingy. Offense was moving the ball. It was a great finale, and it had to be exciting for fans to watch. I've seen some feedback. One of the best championship games that the league has put on, and kudos to two really dynamic teams. I mean, the Boston Renegades are really well coached. I take nothing away from them. They have put in a hard work season. They have had a lot of really successful years, including this year. Walking out of that stadium without the championship does not mean they're not a good team. It just wasn't their season. It was ours this time around. So the plan was great. And the players, my hats off to our players, each and every one of them, every single player on this team had a role in this win. And I don't care if you're a starter or your second or your third string, everybody mattered. And we had a lot of adversity before this game. We had a few players injured either before or during the game, where backup players ended up rotating in and performed just as well as a starter would have. And that's kudos to their heart and their mentality, the work ethic that they put in.
Yeah.
So, Coach, during this season, who has been your biggest rival and why?
Oh, definitely Boston. It was Boston, no doubt about it, from the beginning. So we had a beat Boston mentality from the start. But in saying that, we don't take any opponent lightly. Preparing for every game is just as important as the next. And we had some really great rivalries along the way. Minnesota is always a really fantastic matchup for us. We really enjoy playing them. Every team is of good caliber, and we never look past the team that's right in front of us. So while we had our eyes on the prize all the way through the season, knowing that there was a good chance we were going to meet Boston at some point, we had them on our regular season schedule. And at the time, they hadn't lost a game in 42 games. It was
Wow.
4.5 years they hadn't lost. And we really took that seriously, and we wanted to be the one to put that mark on the map for them, that we are a force to be reckoned with. Our players are just as talented and hardworking and dynamic. And we walked away with a win that game and broke that streak. So I think that sent shockwaves through the league that, holy cow, there may be a team that's strong enough to stand up to Boston this year. And then we carried that mentality into the championship, that 6 seconds at a time. Put your mind to it. Your thoughts are creative. If you think it, you can do it. And they bought into it. The players performed fantastically in this final game. I mean, they're the ones that put on this 9-0 season. Again, it's not the coaches, it's these players that they come in and they do the work. They put in the sweat equity, and they cashed it out in that last game. It's impressive.
That's amazing,
Coach. Boston was 6-2, and you guys were 8-0 going into the championship. So that's pretty cool. Yep. Go ahead, Amber. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's cool. It was pretty phenomenal. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it. I'm looking at like the limited amount of players that some of these teams have. Do you ever get players that are on both offense and defense?
The question is, do we ever get players that aren't on both offense and defense? So unfortunately, we have very few specialists on the team that are one-trick ponies that only get to play on one side of the ball. And there are a few players that fit that category because of the nature of their position. Our quarterback, Jamie Gall, she is the quarterback. We protect her as such. We don't ask her to be involved in much else. But a lot of our players, if they're not playing special teams, they are either on offense or defense, or sometimes both. So a lot of those women you see out on the field, sometimes they don't come off the field. And it's challenging, especially when it's such an impactful collision sport where you're giving your all every play, and then your opportunity to recover and breathe is 25, 30 seconds long. It's a lot to ask, but man, they do it with a smile, and they come back for more every practice and every game.
So, Coach, you keep saying 6 seconds at a time, 6 seconds at a time. To follow up on your question, like, what is that to you and to the players? Like, what is that? That
is the average length of a football play. So from whistle to whistle, when the play begins, that snap is gone, to the ref blows a whistle, it's about 6 seconds for that play to take place. So they know I've got to work hard for 6 seconds, then the whistle blows and I get a recovery. And that's how we practice as well. That's what that
impressive.
means.
That's really impressive, actually. I never thought about it like that. Go ahead, RC.
So, Coach, I'm going to go back to the question about pay. So is it just St. Louis that doesn't get paid, or is it every team? And what's the structure? Are there owners? Is there a president? I mean, you're going to get me to start fundraising like tomorrow for y'all, because it really bugs me, because I know that women always get the short end of the stick.
I don't know what the rest of the league does. I'll be honest. I try to mind my business to our team, because that's all I care about, honestly. I mean, I care about what happens to women's sports, but my heart and my dedication is with the Slam, and that's what I focus on. And we are a 501c3. So we are a non-for-profit organization. And as I said, we're all volunteers. Are there teams out there that receive sponsorship, potentially pay? Sponsorship, yes. Pay, doubtful. We're just not there as a league, and we're just not there as a sport yet. And that ultimately is the goal. And nobody's trying to get rich or get a huge paycheck. We just want the basics covered, uniforms, equipment, travel, food, all the workout supplies, field expenses, referees. There's a lot that goes into the season, and it's an immense expense. Even as coaches, we come out of pocket to pay for fields to practice on, equipment to use, those type of things. Any type of rewards or incentives that we want to do throughout the season for fun. Those are all our own personal expenses that we take on because we love it so much. And then the players, again, their time is worth something. The time away from their family, their kids, their loved ones. And like I said, they're volunteering for it. So there's a lot of opportunity to change that.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, Coach, it's phenomenal listening to all of this and realizing that there's blood, sweat, tears, respect, all of it going in there day in, day out. What is the longest you have ever had to see a player suffer through in order to hit that end goal?
The longest they've suffered through, as far as you're talking
as far as I mean, like, just what it takes to get out there. Have you ever had players struggling? You mentioned coming out of pocket.
Oh,
I mean,
of course. Yeah, of course. And they struggle in a couple of ways. Obviously, the financial aspect of it, it's tough because you're trying to fundraise. We encourage them to fundraise early in the season, in the preseason part of things, before we get to games, because it becomes even harder once you're playing games to fundraise. So, our ask is that January, February, March, that's your fundraising period. But then the physical difficulty of it, early on, the ask is not that they show up in shape. The ask is that they show up coachable and willing to put in effort. So, I mean, don't think for a second that we haven't had people walk off and vomit and then have to get back into a drill. We've had people try to leave in the past. I won't throw her name out because I'll embarrass her, but way back when, we had a player that she went to leave a tryout. She was throwing up, she vomiting. This isn't for her. And she went to leave, and a couple of us physically grabbed her to get her to stay. And she went on to be one of the best offensive linemen we have had. And had we not, convinced her to stay and helped show her that she was capable, it kind of comes down to that body size. One of the things that we miss out on a lot is larger women believing that this is something that they can do. And it's that body type mentality that we have as a culture, that to be an athlete, to be considered strong or capable, you have to fit into a certain shaped box. And that's just not it for football. We need all sizes. And if that includes some of the bigger women that feel like they want to give it a try, oh my gosh, please come. We are dying for some of the larger ladies to come on out and give us a shot and see what they're made of and see what they can do. And a lot of them really surprise themselves if they do. And there's some we've had that they walk on like they own the place and have been just as successful too. So there's a lot of opportunity with us.
Nice.
Can you give us a rewarding time for you as a coach that you were like, yes, coaching is where I want to be. While I enjoyed playing the game, it was great, but I'm liking being a coach?
Oh my God. I've had so many, I don't even know where I would, funnel it down to. There's actually two of them that happened this season. And I've had others, but last season we had one of our rookie players. She was on our offensive line, and in our preseason scrimmage, she unfortunately hurt her knee, went down with an injury, tore her ACL, had to have surgery. And it's a long process to recover and come back. And it's really mentally challenging to come back to a collision and contact sport like football is. And there are several women on the team that have been in that situation. And when she came back this season, there were some nerves involved, and it really takes a lot of mental toughness to overcome that fear of it happening again, because it's a lot of pain and suffering. The recovery is challenging, and that's the last thing you want to do when you have a career. You have to work outside of football. And there were some moments with her where she had some self-doubt, and she worked through that. I just offered some words along with some of the other coaches, and to watch her not only go out, but start a lot of the season and walk away as a national champion because of that mental fortitude and toughness it took to overcome that injury. That's part of why I love doing what I do. We've got one comes to many of our practices. Several of the players' kids come, and they get to watch us on the field, and they're so acclimated to it and accustomed to it, they find it strange that boys play football. That's what we have instilled in some of these little girls that are a part of it. And then one of the other fun moments for me, and I hope he watches this at some point, we had a new coach come on board this year, Adam Hamilton, male coach, coaches with Ladue. And when he first came in, he was gung-ho, very excited, and that excitement has grown through the season. And that was a fun moment for me to watch him transition from coaching boys, and kudos to what he does there, to coaching adult professional women who are very strong-minded, very capable, and really know what their path in life is. To watch the growth in him as a coach. I mean, he's a fantastic coach, really has all the pieces, but to watch him come into that environment and adapt to it was cool to see throughout the season. And it's been a great addition. Plus, I didn't have to coach the offensive line anymore. So that was
There you go.
That's good.
So I also do another podcast called Smoking Guns Podcast. And on that podcast, I have a special segment called Mom to Mom, where I interview the players' moms. And that really goes over well because that's how the fans get to know the players. What advice would you give to a mother that their daughter is interested in football?
Put her in the car and drive her there. Let her, anything she wants to do, let her try it. Why not? I mean, instead of why not? That's the question everybody should be asking, is the why not? What reasons are there to not? Because the moment you limit a little girl about anything she wants to try that's reasonable, you shut off the opportunity for growth. So every time a little girl asks to do something that's not going to harm her, why not? That's my 2 cents. And I'd love to get to a point where we stop talking about women's sports and we're just talking about sports. And it's not a women's or men's, it's the sport of football. Sure, there's opportunities for both, but it's more mainstream that it's not such a big deal that women are playing anymore. It's the expectation and normal.
Well,
Thank you.
She brought up the mom aspect. I'm going to bring up the sibling aspect. Some of these players, do you have any of these players coming from families that are football families?
Oh, sure.
Are there brothers or uncles that have played in the NFL and they've taken that passion and brought it over to you guys and just
we've had some players in the past. We had a player in our past years that her father played for the St. Louis Cardinals when they were here in the NFL. And we definitely have siblings. We have players that have dated NFL players and been a part of that. What's really fun for us now is we have a mother-daughter tandem on the team. So we've got mom and daughter both playing together. They have for several years now. I think they've earned 3 or 4 of the championships together. So they've both been playing for quite a while now. So that's Tony and Brooklyn that are a part of our team. So it's cool to see them on the field together. And they couldn't be more different, both as players and as people. So it's really fun because they play completely different positions. Tony's on the offensive line and Brooklyn plays defense, at the linebacker position. So just really opposite ends of the spectrum for what they do on the field.
Men can be, hard on themselves, but I feel as women, we can be just as hard on ourselves,
The worst.
right?
The absolute worst.
How do you teach that mental strength, that toughness that you have to have on the field with that?
Honestly, that's really something you can't teach. You have to have that inherently. And I think as women, we're lucky that we really do. All we can do is offer tools and outlets and challenge them to think a little differently and challenge them to be able to give a little bit more. So I don't want to share them all, but we have some strategies throughout our practices where we will throw different conditioning workouts or things into specific parts of practice to train them in their way of thinking that no matter how tired I am, I still have more to give. There's still more in the tank, so that when we're in a fourth quarter of a hard fought game, we're not gassing out. We still can put it on full gas, no brakes, and just out steam our competition. And that's part of how we are so successful, is they're incredibly well conditioned, and that's their mindset and their work ethic and their willingness. So it's really fun at practice when we're giving them workouts to do and watching them just go all out and leave it all out on the field at practice, not just in the games. Everything you've got, give it to us right here, right now. Don't save it. And that's exactly what they do.
That's awesome.
So, Coach, when you're not doing football, what are you doing?
I work for a local grocery chain called Deerberg's. So I'm the director of deli and seafood for Deerberg's here in St. Louis.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Deerberg's.
I do
love
too.
Deerberg's.
I love Deerberg's. They are not only a great company, but a really great family. The Deerberg family is top notch. Everybody should wish to work for somebody like this family. They're absolutely incredible. They have been super supportive of what I do off the clock and in football. And, I came back to work the following week after the championship to my office decorated and a big celebration over it. So it was a lot of fun to come back to work and get to see that support. So they're a great organization. Love everything about it.
Man, RC took my question, but I'll follow up with this one. What is the most interesting job that a player has that you've heard of?
Oh, gosh. We get all kinds of interesting stuff. We did have, at one point, we had a high-risk OB. So she was an obstetrician and dealt with high-risk births and deliveries. So that was pretty interesting. But we've had a lot of different things: doctors, lawyers, military members, and hats off to anybody that's been a part of the military. Actually, many years ago, when we went to one of the championship games, Elizabeth Williams, we call her Sarge, she was deployed right before our championship game, and unfortunately had to miss the game. So we made a promise to her that we would take her jersey, and we had her jersey on the field and on the sideline, so she could still be present with us while she was off fighting for our country. So it was
that's amazing.
Yeah,
that is
so
really cool.
That's pretty cool.
So I want to
Amber's
talk about.
been in the military.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your support.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I kind of want to talk about you for a minute, because you've had a transformation yourself with health and fitness.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I believe that you need a shout out. Just saying you look great. I want to know what you have done for yourself, for your health and wellness. Like, what have you done to keep yourself motivated to make yourself feel healthy? And
well, it's funny, because here's the really hard thing about football and when you retire from it. I said earlier, you're burning thousands and thousands of calories on the field. 2,000-3,000 calories is no problem to burn, and you have to eat to keep your weight on, to maintain weight to play. Well, the problem is when people retire, and you see it all over the NFL, they continue to eat in that style, not realizing, oh my gosh, this is going to catch up with me. So for me recently, I got to a point in my life where I needed to make some changes and just started, eating healthier, starting to work out again. I'd gotten out of the gym because I'm coaching and not playing anymore. So portion control, eating healthier, it's pretty much, you got to just watch what goes in and move your body more. And that's what I've been doing. So thank you for asking.
Of course, you look great. I had to say something, because when I saw that, I was like, she deserves that shout out for sure.
I'm looking to shed a few more too. So my journey is not over yet. More to come.
Great. And you're an inspiration. So keep it
Thank you.
going. That's for sure. You're welcome. Go ahead, RC.
No,
So
well,
we
embarrassed.
also cover the UFL. Have you been able to go out to one of the Battlehawk games?
I have actually. I had season tickets to it, and they have invited our team out. We've gotten to participate a bit with them, so they put on a great show. It's great entertainment and really really good games. So they're out working hard and putting themselves out there too. So they deserve a shout out. We need more football here in St. Louis, and we need the football that's in St. Louis to get more attention and be celebrated more.
Well,
We're
please let us
trying.
know
We're trying.
please let us know when you're down there, because our network would probably do a little something for the team
Okay,
before at the tailgate. So let us know, because we'd
good to
love
know.
to do that.
Yeah, great.
Amber, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I'm sitting here just like marketing brain is going a mile a
right?
minute, you know.
Right.
I'm like, we can hook these up with all of the other charity events that we do and get y'all connected with possible sponsorships. I'm more curious, do you think that if there was more attention, I know it's just word of mouth, there's no advertising or marketing behind this, what would be the best way to get the word out?
That's a great question, and a big part of it is word of mouth. And it's honestly, how many rear ends can we get in the stands to watch a game? Because that's where the proof is in the pudding. It's one thing to talk about us and share our name and our mission and what we do. It's another entirely to come to a game and witness it yourself. Until someone sees it in action, I get all the questions. Is it real football? Do you really hit each other? And my answer is always, come to a game. Don't let me tell you about it. Come watch it and you decide for yourself. And that has earned a lot of lifelong fans, honestly. So, I mean, it'd be great to have billboards and advertisement and get us on the news and in the paper. Every little thing helps. And I don't know that one strategy is better than another. Just having the outlets to get our name out there and really celebrate what these women are doing. You said it earlier, they're trailblazers, and they are, leaving a legacy for hopefully generations behind us. And every time they step on the field and I get to watch them play and be a part of it, I couldn't be more proud of the work and the effort they put in. So, how do you put that into a marketing campaign? How do you put love and respect and desire into a campaign to market it? I don't know the solution, but I'm hoping somebody out there does.
Well, I happen to. How about a weekly show on Fuel Sports Network where we have you on and we promote it, and we would love to. I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I'm just saying we would love to be able to do so. I think that would be great, because things like this should be happening, right? Women deserve
support.
Yeah, women deserve to be playing the sport the exact same way that men are. And we do it differently, but that doesn't make it any less than. So I think that it's really cool, just in general. But I want to take you back for a minute to when you played.
Okay.
What was it like with the first catch for the first possession of a game? Catching, what was that like for you?
It was really surreal. So, that was back in, I think it was April 12th of 2003 was our very first game. We played against Kansas City Crunch. I apologize if you can hear my dogs barking, by the way. And, everybody was a ball of nerves. There were news cameras everywhere. And it was just historic for St. Louis that a women's football field or a women's football team was taking the field. So I had the unbelievable honor of catching the first touchdown pass. I played tight end back then. And I mean, it was just a really cool experience and a lot of fun to be a part of. So it's one of those, I'll take it to my grave with me is being a really great opportunity to not only be one of the founding members of the team, but to have that, like I said, it's an honor. And I think anybody that's ever scored a touchdown for our team, and you can probably ask any of the players from this season, it's a feeling you can't describe. And there's a lot of joy that comes with it. I'm just really lucky to gotten to be the one. It could have been anybody. It just happened to be me on that particular day.
And with 1,000 fans in the stands.
It was fairly crowded that day. There's no doubt.
Yes.
It was pretty cool.
Go ahead, RC.
So, Coach, sticking with football theme, what's your favorite football movie?
Oh gosh, there's so many. Like, I don't know if I have a specific one. Remember the Titans is good, of course.
That's a good
I
one.
mean, that's probably one of my top ones.
My favorite.
There's I could go on. There's so many good football movies out there. There's really not a bad one I've seen.
So what do we have to do to get the Slam to come out to the song just like they did in Remember the Titans? What do we got to do to get that to happen?
I don't know.
Make it happen.
We've got to talk to the players and see how they feel about it. That's what we have to do.
That would be the coolest thing ever, though, I must say. First game of the season, being five-time champs and come out on the field doing that, I think that would be impressive.
I'm hoping at some point we can't hold it up enough hands. That's how many champs we are.
Go ahead, Amber.
And again, with the marketing part of it, how can someone find tickets, and when do y'all play, and how does that work?
Tickets for next season will not be available yet. So we'll market those as the season rolls around. So the season officially begins in April generally. So we'll have a preseason scrimmage or two in March, and then the season generally begins in April. Once the schedule's released, that'll be a long time coming. We're not quite there yet. And then the season runs from April into July with as you just saw, the championship happen July 27th. So it's usually on that same time frame, April to the end of July, depending on how far a team makes it into the playoffs. So like I said earlier, the website's the best way to stay in the loop, or our Facebook page. Just follow us on social media. That'll give you all the information you need.
Nice.
Well, apparently my dad thinks that I should try out.
I think y'all should try out. What's stopping you?
Oh, no.
I'm in Houston, so I think my travel would be yeah.
I've been late for practice every single practice.
I will say this. I will never say never, and I will not say can't after today.
That's right. It's push-ups if you do.
I'm gonna start now with not saying can't. Well, thank you so much for coming on. But last question I have to say to you is after going through this year and obviously 5 championships, what are you looking for the next season? I know it's like asking somebody after they get married when they're going to have kids, right? You just not really the question you want to hear. But what is it you're looking for?
I also understand it, because it's, when you get to the top, which is where we are now, we have finally proven we are the best team. There's going to be a big target on our back, and everybody's coming for us. And that's the expectation. And it's a big pill to swallow that you have to deliver yet again another great season, but that's not where our mentality is. Our mentality is to be the best we can be as a team, and to be better than we were yesterday. That's always the challenge. So can I be better than I was the day before, the moment before, the second before, and not so focused on that end goal as I am focused on what's right in front of me right now. And that's how you get through anything. Any challenge that's in front of you, take smaller bites. And our goal as coaches is just to teach new players and the returning players to freshen their skill and keep them moving forward toward that goal. So if that ends up at a championship, it does. And if it doesn't, man, I still love this team just the same as I would if we had rings on our fingers. It does not matter to me. It's kind of a rain or shine. You mentioned a wedding. It's for better or for worse with the Slam. We refer to us, instead of a team, we're a Slamily. It's super close knit. So much love on this team. It's like nothing you can ever imagine being a part of. So forget the end goal. Yeah, it's great. And being the number one team is amazing. But what's even more amazing to me is how it happened. It didn't happen by fluke or by accident. It happened because the amount of love, respect, and care these players have for one another. That's how we got there.
I love it. Well, Coach Davis, can you tell us where everyone can find you on your socials?
Sure. So on social media, you can find the St. Louis Slam on both Instagram and Facebook. And then our website is stlslamfootball.com. So if you reach out there, there should be a contact us location on the website, and someone would get back with you. So hopefully people are running to their computer now to reach out to us to sponsor or come play. Come try out.
We love it. Thank you so much for coming on. We would love to have you back.
I would love that. Thank you for your time, ladies. I appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you.
You have a great day, Coach. Thank you so much.
You too.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Too. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Isn't she great?
Oh
That
my
was
gosh,
amazing.
so inspirational.
Yes. So
I don't know, ladies. I'm thinking we should all try out for the respective teams in our cities and see how it goes.
You know,
Are y'all with me?
Okay.
Yes, but I'm going to tell you right now, my dad does have a point. Like, it would help my stress level probably just a little
I'm
bit.
just saying.
It would. It would. And to everyone that's watching, if you are interested in playing football, women's football, I shouldn't even say if, go try out. What do you have to lose? Seriously, what do you have to lose? Go online and check out the Slams website, but also we will have all of that social information, all of her socials and everything out also. So go check it out, and then please share this video also, this show, because it deserves to be out. And the fact that they
word of mouth.
don't get paid, what a joke.
Horrible.
Man.
You know what? Times are going to change because the ATeam with RC. It's all I got to say.
That's right.
Look, I might try out if my jersey name could be Mrs. Predator. I'm just saying. We can make that. Can we make that happen?
Can you get a last name change, maybe? Predator is your last name? Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah. If I mean, I don't know. I don't know how Mr. Predator would feel about the legal name change.
Okay.
Try to explain that at work.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be. I don't know about that one. But anyway, all right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of the ATeam with RC. We will be back next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Time. We look forward to seeing you then. But until then, we'll see you. Peace.